All right, my model railroad friends. How's everybody today? It's March the 1st. We've still got some cold weather here in southern Ontario. I'll tell you, I'll be glad to see when winter's behind us here. Anyways, missed last weekend. I was out of town in Ottawa. I was at a whiskey event. And had to let my liver dry out a little bit from that weekend's worth of whiskey drinking that we did and talking and whatnot. Well, looking at the switch list that got generated today, we've got some interesting stuff. It should go well. And I think afterwards, I was trying to debate whether I wanted to do this before or after the live stream, but I think we'll do it afterwards in case anybody else shows up. I've got a couple of projects on the go and just want to discuss them with you guys out there and let you know where we're heading with stuff. Not so much my railroad, but outside of my realm, still railroad, model railroad related for sure. Anyway, without further ado, today's switching sheet is set up. All the cars are where they're supposed to be. I spent the morning doing that. And we'll get things started here. We'll get a couple of locomotives out of the way because they're sitting on the tracks and we need those tracks. So we're going to get the BNSF fired up here. And we're going to get our GP9TT fired up and get them the heck out of Dodge. And then we're going to be using our GMD1, my little Snoop Dogg switcher today. And we can get things started and get stuff moving. So hang in there for a moment while I get a couple of housekeeping duties done here, which I should have done earlier, but me being me. Got to get the lights on our vehicles going here. There, that's much better. All right, let's get the BNSF out of here. I'll get him onto the west side of the layout. Let everybody know we're coming through. So yeah, it's a nice sunny and blue sky day here today, but the biggest Enfield, buddy! What's going on? What about those Reds there yesterday? Was that a game or was that a game? Uh-oh, I got spinning happening. What's happened? What happened there? Enfield, what a game yesterday, my son. Look at that, eh? We were cheering them on at the pub, I'll tell you. Man, oh man, they showed a good first half. They definitely, I don't know what team came out in that second half, though, Enfield. Jeez, they almost get a little too complacent once they're ahead in a game. Hey, Dave, welcome back. Nice having you here. Just fired up the TT for you, the GP9TT. I'm moving my BNSF out of the way. And hopefully, I don't know if that's my stream that's got a problem here or if that is the YouTube channel that I'm watching. Maybe I'm just chewing up too much bandwidth there. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. I'll just watch OBS stream instead, because I can see everything from there. So we'll get the BNSF stopped, and we'll get her shut down on the far end of the switching layout. Give myself a little more room here. The only defect on this railroad is the operator. Not doing so well today. Maybe it's the that bright sunshine that we have outside that's throwing my brain for a bit of a loop. So let's get rid of him. We got rid of him. And we'll get the TT9 or the GP9TT out of the way. Dave, you were asking about that. I don't know if you can see or you saw the answers. Yeah, I like this locomotive. I'm not sure if you're going to go down the road of the DC version or the DCC version. I would use, I mean, I don't know your layout either, which makes it a little more difficult, but if it's a DCC layout, definitely go DCC. Spend the extra money because you're going to make up for it anyway if you buy a decoder for the locomotive somewhere down the road. I just don't see the point in not spending the money if you're going to go that route anyway. But she's, now, that's me, sorry. See, that's what happens when I'm not paying attention. I should have checked my switch settings. Sweet little locomotive, like I said in my little text to you, is I ended up having a problem with mine, but it was my own fault. At our club layout, there was a short, one of the guys caused a short, and at least I think it was one of the guys, I don't think it was me. Or it could have been I picked up a piece of N-scale ballast at the club and caused too much of a draw on the motor, and it actually burned out one of the strips on the decoder board. Now, fortunately, I'm handy enough that I can fix most of those problems. Even at my age, the old eyesight's not as good as it used to be, but, you know, put one of those magnifying visors on and I'm good to go at that point. So yeah, we're going to get that guy down at the far end. Get him out of the way. Speed him up a bit here. And then we'll get snooped. Actually, that's not a good spot for him at all, because he's going to be in the way of my switching. I'm going to have to get him on a siding. Hold that thought, people. Entertain yourselves for about 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Like I said, the only defect here on this railroad is the operator. And we're going to back this thing up and try this again. We're going to get them onto the siding of the staging area here. I call it a staging area. It just happens to be an area where I can put the train cars or the freight cars when I'm done switching with them. Alright, we got him out of the way. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, it's the GP9 is a nice little unit for sure, and just to give you a little more on Dave, if you're watching, I know you're working on something, but I run a Wii throttle or Y throttle, whatever you want to call it, and the guy over on DCCX site in their throttle section designed this little baby. And he modeled it after the GP9 stack in the cab, and cool. And he had me do some troubleshooting on it, or debugging on it with him, and we got it refined pretty good. You can download the STL files. He's got them up there, and he's got a full build for it, and it's quite nice. It adds a different level of realism to running your model railroad for sure, because it acts differently than any other throttle that you've got out there. Anyway, I'm gonna use this throttle to run my GMD1. I know it's not right, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So we're gonna get things started here, but in the meantime, while GMD1 is firing up, I'm gonna have a little sip, so hang in there. I know where Enfield's from. Dave, whereabouts you out of? Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it, with all the levers on it. But what you've got, just I'll explain, you've got 9 detents, or 0 through 8 detents on the throttle lever. And you've got progressive braking on here. And you've got your forward and your reverse. Oh, cool. So your forward and reverse lever, just like if you took this portion off, the lower portion with the keypad and stuff, it would look like the GP9 stack. And if you do a Google search, you'll see that. I've got the horn here, and bell, lights, and secondary, like I've got another setup for horn. Track power, I can turn it on and off here. I've got an emergency stop, which will kill everything on the layout. Startup button for starting up the prime mover, and I can do a delay setting as to like a momentum as to how quickly the locomotive starts up. And as I say, because we've got progressive braking on here, we can actually slow it down to however we want to do that. Same thing, nice thing is if you go on from forward to neutral in the middle, and I'll see if I can get it on the camera here. I'm not sure if you'll see it or not. The little display says NEU, which is neutral, and if I go into forward or reverse, it'll say forward and reverse. So you get to see everything that's happening with your throttle at that point. And if your eyesight's good enough, I gotta quit knocking the microphone here. If your eyesight's good enough, it actually tells you the current locomotive number. Now all my locomotives are the road name numbers on here, and right below that are all the functions that are currently running on the locomotive. So there's a little number associated with each of those. So everything you want to do or could possibly do, including MUing two units together, can be done via this throttle. So as I say, quite nice. The fact that it's wireless is even nicer. I do also run, I know I'm rambling and we're not doing the switching yet, but I do also run a lot of times with an Android tablet, and I can run currently two locomotives on here without any problems. I could put a third on there. It's just in the configuration, and I can get at the functions there. You could use your phone if you wanted to, which isn't a problem. You get Engine Driver if it's Android. I think there's an Apple version. I've also used a wired throttle, which I attach to my tablet at times, and you'll see that. There we are there, and it's just an encoder. So dialing forward and reverse here, and I assign the bell, horn, and engine startup buttons on this one. So yeah, there's a number of ways that you can use DCCEX, which is not the Digitrax stuff, and I'm going to get into that later on at the end of the video. So if you guys hang around, if anybody's hanging around, I'll show a real quick setup, because I got a brand new DCCEX CSB1. That's currently what I'm running on this layout anyway. I used to have their previous version, which was stacked Arduino board, so you had your Mega and a motor driver board on top of that, and then a Wi-Fi board on top of that. So this is their latest iteration of things, and they've simplified it. It's all down to one board now, which is really, really cool. I'm not going to spoil the surprise just yet on that, but I will take it out of the bag. I'll show you what comes in it. I will attach a power supply to it, and then I'm going to fire up a spare phone that I have here and show you how easy it is. You can be up and running with this board literally in under 10 minutes and have your layout running on DCC quite easily and quite affordable, may I say. So anyway, let's get on with what the primary purpose of this whole thing is. So currently we've got, where's my pointer of God, my stick of God? My other half told me I had to use a pointer just in case people don't know where various things are, which obviously first-time users won't, or viewers won't. So today's current switching layout, we've got a boxcar sitting at central maintenance, which is, if you're looking at the central camera, is right here, and there's a boxcar sitting in that building right now with a tank car in front of it, or behind it, depending on which way you're looking at it. And that boxcar has got to go from central maintenance to our staging track, which is my outbound track, what we're calling it today. And we also have a covered hopper sitting in the outbound track, which has to come up there, or from there up to the cold storage facility, which is on the east camera, pointing at it now. It's a olive drab building. So we're going to be moving that covered hopper there. The tank car that's sitting at central maintenance, which we were just pointing at, is going to be going to the outbound track. So that's pretty good, because I can get rid of those 2 cars in one move, which is nice. And when I do that, by the way, I'm going to give you a heads up right now. I don't have enough cameras. Currently there are 6 cameras on the entire layout, including the one that faces me. If I could get rid of that one, I would, but I was told by a subscriber I had to have a camera on me. And realistically, this is just a T-track layout, and there's 5 modules here. 4 of them are double modules, and 1's a single. My intention was just to build a switching layout that I could easily take down, which is why I went T-track. I thought if I ever did go to a show, there's none in this area that do T-track though, so it didn't really matter. I could always take these things and move them. And a nice thing with T-track in general is the ability to take a module out and switch it somewhere else, because your two main tracks are set to a standard. So they'll always connect, although my switching portion obviously won't connect. And what I did is I added a 4-foot section on the west end, which is just an area that when I'm doing this switching layout, I can take the cars and move them out, because the switching software that I'm using, shouldn't really call, I mean, it is software, but it's done through an Excel spreadsheet. And the formula that's in there knows what the cars are, because obviously I put them in there, and it knows where they can go. So a car could go, or a freight car could go to the inbound track or outbound track. Inbound would be that it's come in to the staging area, and outbound, same track, is going out to the staging area. But a boxcar, for example, wouldn't go to the co-op, which is on the west end. So the spreadsheet formula knows that, because it's a parameter within the formula itself. So yeah, what I do on Sundays is I randomly pick 6 to 8 freight cars or cars and put them in, and it generates a switch list for me. And every time I put a car in, it regenerates or refreshes that sheet. And then I just print it off, and that's my switching session for a Sunday, and that's how it goes. And if we have time, and if I have people here, then what I do is I end up talking with whoever's in the chat, and we discuss a few things that they want to talk about. So anyway, without further ado, let's see what we can see what we can move. So as I said, our first move is going to be, I guess, we may as well take those 2 cars that are sitting over at central maintenance, which again, I will point it out because my other half just joined, and she'll give me heck later on if I don't do this. Hi, Gwen. So we're going to move our GMD1 and get our switches set properly this time. Get him going. I did the pointing, thank you. See, I told you. And I'm going to have to glue down this little crossing board that I've got in here. I left it unglued because I wanted to make sure I had the height right, that the cars or the locomotives weren't dragging it. And I've got the height sanded, the board sanded down now. So I just have to get some white glue and give that thing a little gluing down. The music okay? Is it loud enough? Not loud enough? Can you hear it? I keep the speakers turned down here, so I really don't get to hear the sound at all. So I'm kind of watching the VU meter in OBS to see if, I know the level's good, but that doesn't mean that you can hear it, because in general the mix may not be correct for it. And again, I've said in the past, Dave, just so you know, I hate the fact that all end scale couplers do not necessarily couple when you pull up to them. which is a royal pain, but minor details, so periodically I have to reach over there and make sure that we get hooked up properly. So I don't run prototypical here. Yeah, it does, for sure, Dave. I don't run anything really prototypical. The industries that are here aren't modeled after anything. It's just something I came up with in my head and thought, yeah, this would make a good switching layout. I personally feel, and don't get me wrong, I mean, running trains around on a layout continuously while you're doing a YouTube channel is a cool way to do it because you get to interact with the people. I have more difficult time trying to do it here because I got a dirty track. Because I have to kind of concentrate a little bit on what's going on with the layout itself. But my opinion is that a railroad should have a purpose. So for me, the switching layout actually is the purpose of my railroad. So what are you, Dave, what are you running there? Is it a switching layout? Are you running the trains around on a layout? Sorry to ask all these questions, but hey, you gotta know, right? And do you belong to a club, or? Hold tight, folks. Entertain yourselves for a moment while I go down to the far end here. And what I'm going to end up having to do here, I said I'm going to run these two cars to the outbound track, which is correct. I am going to do that. But we got to cheat, kinda, a little bit. I've got a couple of cars down there, a couple of covered hoppers, and an ore car, a little mini ore car. They've all got to come up this way, so I might just as well hook onto those, pull them back, cross over by the cement factory, and then uncouple the cars that have to come up here, and then go and drop the other two cars off that have to be dropped off at the outbound track, and then come back, pick up the cars that are sitting on the main line, and then pull them back and do what I need to do with them. Yeah, well, I'm an old school model railroader. I was into N scale some 35, 40 years ago. The leaps and bounds that this industry has gone through is just insane. We didn't have DCC for N scale back in the day. We didn't have sound for N scale back in the day. In fact, we've got locally in Southern Ontario, there's an annual train show, and the guy that I but helped his layout during that show was asking if I could bring a sound unit along. I said sure, because I ran a separate, just for the heck of having sound, a separate sound unit out there, and brought that along and hooked it up. So yeah, a long time ago there wasn't a lot of technology per se with the model railroads, and the stuff that's out there now, I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next 5 years, because I could well imagine that we're going to see some amazing stuff in the next little bit. Give me a sec, I'll be right back. Just checking to make sure I'm actually hooked up down here. And I am, so that's a good sign. Yeah, besides which, I can't make this layout any bigger than it is, Dave. Gwen will shoot me. So if it ever comes up that I've scheduled a switching session and I'm not there and it happens for consecutive weeks, be worried, because I think she's done something to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these, how many cars have I got there now? I'm going to pull these 5 cars forward. We're going to come up to the cement factory, which is that beigey colored building. Oh, you don't see much of the beige, but you'll see the silver, you see the grader out there, and the bus. There's a crossover there. So I'm going to pull just past that, and we're going to switch that one over. And that's one of the switches I don't have automated yet. So I got to manually switch that guy over. And I'll drop the 3 cars off, so the 2 covered hoppers and the little mini ore car off on the main line for a minute, so I can get rid of the box car and the tank car. So when you get your layout done, Dave, are you going to do a YouTube channel? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. Try not to be at a camera range too long here, so just bear with me while I uncouple these guys on the main line. Which I know I shouldn't do, but it's only temporary, and the switch master won't mind. So we'll swap these guys here. We'll uncouple. I'm going to drop these 2, the box car and the tank car off. We'll drop them off in the staging outbound track. Coming back now, we should be coming into camera view on the west end camera. And what we'll do is we're going to come back onto the main and pick up these 3 cars, and we'll pull them into the main switching area. Today it doesn't look like we've got much going on as far as the co-op or the cement factory. Everything's happening up at this end, which is kind of good. All right, let's get back into camera view here. And now I need to figure out, so we're going to stop here for a second, because now I got to have myself all bent out of shape with grabbing these guys and moving the other one. So let's see what we have to do here. I get a trusty little pencil out so I actually know what I'm doing. Well, it is and it isn't a big investment, Dave. The camera views you see here are cheap cameras. Now, I'm in Canada, so everything's more expensive up here when we have to buy it. But they're just Amazon 4K cameras, other than the middle one, which is a HD 1024 camera. The biggest thing I would have to say, and I run into it periodically, because this is an old computer, desktop computer I'm running this whole system on, is you need to have good USB ports for your cameras. Individual ones are really what you need, and otherwise you can get some breakup happening on your cameras, and it's not one in particular. They'll all start jittering on the screen. So I try and start up in the morning with this system of the day that I'm going to do a switching session, and then fire up all the cameras and make sure everything is working properly, and then I just leave things as they are, because I don't want to touch anything when it's working. But yeah, I've only been doing this for a little while now. I'm not doing it for any particular reason other than if I'm going to do a switching session anyway, I may as well broadcast it. And if I got people viewing, I get people viewing. If I don't get people viewing, well, I'm still doing the session. I had a session 2 weeks ago, I think it was, nobody was on, and I just carried on as if I had an audience there anyway. But yeah, if you're going to do it, Dave, I mean, I would encourage, start with a single camera, and you don't necessarily need one on yourself. Start that way on kind of the central area that you want to do, and use OBS software. It's free. It's what most of the people use out there. Configuration's not that difficult. I'm a hardware guy, I'm not a software guy. So if I can figure it out, anybody can figure it out. But yeah, it's fun. You get over that kind of nervous hurdle the first couple of times you do it, and then you're good to go. So let's see, we got rid of that guy, and we've gotten rid of that guy. And there we go. So, as I said, what we've got is we got two covered hoppers. I'm going to figure out which one is which. As well, what I do is I do have all the car numbers on there, so literally the car number that is on the car is the one I have to switch to the proper location. So, it looks like I may... 258, where are you? 258, or 358, I get. No, 258, there he is. Yeah. So we're gonna have to get behind these guys anyway. Where's that little ore car going? He's going to East Maintenance, and East Maintenance is right here, if you're looking at the east camera. We also have a box car sitting in there, which has to go up to cold storage, which is the other track. So what we may do is get first things first. I think we're going to get rid of that box car, because he's on the right end of the locomotive that we have to do here. So let's get that happening. So we'll get in there and grab this guy. Nice thing about N-Scale, Dave, is the fact that you can get twice as much stuff into the space by comparison to HO. I mean, HO is great, less fiddly for sure. Detail level, I would tell you detail level in the past used to be a lot higher in HO, for sure. Because again, you were dealing with a product that is twice as big as N-Scale. But I think I'm missing a spring on this coupler, and that's the cause of my grief here. But when you start looking at manufacturers like Scale Trains, man, they've got some detail. That BNSF that pulled out earlier is a scale trains, and the level of detail on that baby, whew, it's incredible. And we've got better electric motors in the N scale stuff now than we used to have back in the day. And as I said, I would immediately look at DCC with sound on a locomotive just to make life simpler, because you're going to pay a premium for a separate decoder in the end anyway. So why not get your railroad set up properly with DCC and sound and be done with it. So we're going to drop this boxcar, number 062, off at the cold storage facility. That is going to be one of 3 cars that's going to end up at the cold storage facility today. The cool thing, didn't mean that to happen. The cool thing is, though, I thought the covered hoppers were going to be going to different locations, but those 2 big covered hoppers there, the white guys, are actually going to the cold storage facility as well. So that does make life a whole heck of a lot simpler for me. But I still have to remove that little tiny covered ore car. Oops. It just removed itself, actually, from the track. That was cool. Not. Come on. That's the first time it's done that. I went through and cleaned all the track today, and of course, when I first did a test run after the cleaning, I had stoppages all over the place. So I ended up having to go through and wipe down all the track, and things seem to be better, although we did have that little hiccup there earlier on. But it's bound to happen. I will tell you one thing: when you're doing YouTube videos like this, is the gremlins will come out when you go live. And when you've been running a session all day long previous to that, yeah, they're not there at all. And I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing at all here, am I? But yeah, the gremlins come out, and actually I was on a fellow's YouTube channel this morning while he was live streaming as well, and he was having issues. So you know what? It's common, and that is, in all honesty, is the beauty of doing live streaming, because you don't get to edit out the issues. And that's a whole nother thing that you got to worry about anyway, is if you get into editing, which I don't want to do. But Dave, honestly, if you do go down the road of a YouTube channel, take the step, do it. At least entertain yourself and try it. You can always, in OBS as well, you don't have to live stream with it initially. And the option is there to be able to record a session and then save it to your computer and look at it later on, or upload it later on if you want, which, if you look at some of my previous videos, that's what those were. They were just recordings that I did. But anything under the live tab is stuff I've done recently, and has been, well, YouTube broadcast. So what we're going to do is we got to come down onto the main line here for a moment. So we'll get the double crossover set up, get the lights set up, and I run 2 double crossovers on my layout here. They're both controlled with Arduino micros. And I don't know if you know, you probably do if you've been hanging around any of the YouTube stuff. Ah, cool. Yeah, I know. I mean, I've watched your stuff, Anfield. And good job. I mean, I made the comment, but good job on that repair that you did. That's tough to try and do a repair on an existing layout. But you managed it, man. Good job. What was I going to say? Oh, Jimmy on the DIY and Digital YouTube channel. He does some really, really cool work. And a couple of years ago, probably three years ago maybe, he had done some software coding for see, Rush, you're not paying attention. You're talking too much. He did some coding on an Arduino for a Kato double crossover, which is what these are. And works really, really well. Now, he was the first to admit that the lights in particular are not operating prototypically. And they are not. So I've been bugging him as one of his projects for him to get back at it and fix the code. Like I said, I am not a software person. I am a hardware person. I can build stuff. But anyway, he acknowledged it, so I think he's going to look into repairing it or straightening out the code. It's a cool project, though. But we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out eventually. Yeah, he does have a great channel, Anfield. Lee, you've got a whole heck of a lot of subscribers on your channel too, man. I'm impressed. Here I am happy with my, 36 subscribers that I've got? Oh, come on. See, I remember I said about the dirty track? That's probably, the double crossover is probably the area that I did not wipe down after the main cleaning. And it's my own damn fault because I was running around trying to do other stuff to prep for everything else today. Ah, well. It was a nice game though yesterday, I'll tell you. Liverpool definitely deserved that win, although they shouldn't have had those goals scored against them. Sometimes I think it's just laziness on their part. They get too complacent. All right, I think we're ready to actually drop these two cars off properly. All right, back with it. Slancer. Yeah, there was a big whiskey event last weekend in Ottawa, Ontario, and I like whiskey. I'm by far no expert at it, but I do like whiskeys. And we end up, this is the 4th year this event's happened, and it starts on the Thursday night and goes through till the Saturday night, although we don't get there until late Thursday, so we don't get to partake on the, what they call the Founders Dinner. So it tends to be the first time people that attended the very first show, they have a dinner and tastings and whatnot. But we don't arrive till late, and we went there by train. And what should take, this is going to irritate the heck out of me as I talk about it, what should realistically take about 4 hours on the train, maybe 5 if you really pushed it, takes 7. I don't understand how it can take 7 hours to go from where we are to Ottawa. It's insane. We have the stupidest train setup here. From where we live, yeah, no worries, man. From where we live, we travel on the train for an hour and a half to get to Toronto, Union Station, which I can drive to in just about an hour if the traffic's good. So there's obviously my complaint number one. Then when we get to Union Station in Toronto, we have to switch trains, which I think is the exact same train, to be 100% honest, I know it is on the way back for sure, so I'm guessing it is on the way there. So, but we have to wait around for an hour to an hour and a half to get on the same damn train to go east to Ottawa. So anyway, we left here at 11:45, quarter to noon, whatever you want to call it. And we didn't arrive at our hotel in Ottawa until 8:30, which is just insane. I cannot understand our train system here. Anyway. All right, so we've dropped off the three that have to go to the cold storage facility, which is awesome. So he's done. Here's my other one. There he is. He's done. And a little ore car here, a little brown ore car, which I think is he in the camera view? No, he's not in the camera view. You'll just have to well, he kind of is. He's right here. You'll look at the east camera facing northwest. That's where he's sitting currently. So, let me see where he's got to go. He's came from the inbound track, which is where those two covered hoppers came from. He's going to east maintenance, which is right here. If you're looking at the east camera, I've got a little pointer of God's stick pointing at it currently. And yeah, we will pick him up. But yeah, the event goes from Thursday to Saturday evening, and there's about well, at least 100 VIPs there, as far as like we pay to get VIP status there, which includes a ton of whiskey tastings through the 2 days that we're there. And when I say a ton of tastings, you start at 10 in the morning and you end up usually with 5 tastings per session, and we had 5 sessions, I think it was. Now, keep in mind when I say we had samples, they were just quarter ounce samples of each of the whiskeys, because figure it out, if you had that many, you're going to be not feeling all that well drinking that much. So you pace yourself, and then we have a 5-course dinner that's got whiskeys paired with it, and yeah, it goes on and on. Then they have a general admission thing on the Saturday, and general public comes in. So now we've got about 250 people roaming around this event, and yeah, everybody's sampling whiskey and free food, and yeah, it's a good time. That's all I can say. So we're gonna drop this little covered ore car. I was gonna say whatever the heck it is. It's an ore car, of course it is. Excuse me. I don't know, Anfield, if they offered it over there, but Rapido had a mystery Christmas box. And I guess they do it every year, but they typically don't necessarily do N scale, but they do HO. And this year they did N scale as well as HO. And there was only one level of purchasing for the N scale. Sorry, I gotta lean over here so I can actually see the couplers. There we go. And it was just a mystery box, and it was all freight cars of some way, shape, or form. And when it arrived, and it was relatively cheap in my opinion for what you were going to get, or what you were getting. And those Procore, the big white covered hoppers that I've got, I already owned one of them. I ended up getting, what are they? 1, 2, 3, 4. I ended up getting 5 of those in the box, plus that little covered hopper, or covered ore car, plus where's the other stuff here? Oh, there's a, since I live in Ontario and I'm fairly close to Toronto, and I don't necessarily think that had anything to do with their choice, but ended up with an old style TTC bus, Toronto Transit Commission, and on the one camera you can just see its tail lights by the road grader. So this guy right here, and it's wired. It's got LED tail lights in it, it's got LED headlights in it, and I've just wired it to I think my 5-volt line underneath the T-Track module there. But again, that bus alone, if you were to buy that separately in Canadian dollars, was $34. The average price of those covered hoppers is $50, $45 each. And then the cover door car, again, was probably in the $40 range, $35, $40 range. So dollar value-wise, it was a good deal. So we've got him taken care of as well now. We're just going crazy on this stuff. All right, looks like I have one move left. Do I? Or am I done? I didn't do that covered hopper, or that boxcar. He's already done. So I got 1, 2, 3 at the cold storage. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 3 at the cold storage. I've got a grain cart sitting at the welding shop, but he's going nowhere, so that one's taken care of. Yeah, we're all caught up. We've done them all, folks. Awesome. So, as promised, we're not quite into an hour yet, so that's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you or talk about some of the upcoming projects I've got on the go. I've paired up with a company here in town. Oddly enough, it's in my town anyway. And I'm going to kill this locomotive here, so bear with me for a second. So we'll shut him down. They make T-Track modules. In fact, they made the T-Track modules I have here. And the only reason I bought from this company, and I didn't know where he was located until after the fact. But yes, there's a company in the US called Klondike, and he makes T-Track modules. The problem is, and Klondike himself said, it's too expensive to ship to Canada. Understood, I get that. So I wanted to do my layout in T-Track, only for convenience sake. And found out that there was this company in Canada that was making T-Track modules. And I thought, hey, that's great. So I'll order from him, find out what shipping is, blah, 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 blah. And they ended up refunding me the shipping charges because they're located in the town I work in, or I live in, which, just awesome. Right, so they hand delivered my first few modules, and I bought several more modules from them. And thus you see in front of you, or on the live view, the modules that I have. Now, he's got some other projects on the go, and he's used me already for test building one of his new projects, which is shelf modules, because he wants to get into building shelf systems for, again, for model railroading. It won't matter what scale, because they're just framework shelves, so you can add whatever you want to it. But he also is looking at another project on the go, and he's asked me if I'd like to get involved in it. And I said certainly I would. So to facilitate that, and me being me, I always like to have a spare of whatever it is that I am building or have built. So my little signs, for example, this road sign that I'm just pointing at was one of my projects. I'd like animation on the railroad of some way, shape, or form of animation. I'd love to have one of those roads where the cars actually run, but that's getting a little bit too expensive for my taste. So this little road sign here is just a Arduino Nano. I think it's a Nano. It's temporarily sitting here, so I'll put it in front of that camera. I think it'll kind of show up. I hope. Mind the way, watch the wires, Russ. Yeah. So it's just running on that. It's got some code, and basically it's sitting there with a whole bunch of text that scrolls across. I know you can't read it very well because the camera's not focused on that. It's focused on the trains. but it's meant to represent kind of a normal highway sign warning you of accidents, of slowdowns, don't text and drive, that sort of stuff. So I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. And then when I built the co-op down at the west end there, I want an advertising sign down there too. So I built a larger version of this sign, which is what you see down at the co-op, the Happy Farmer Co-op. And then it was one of those things where I went, I'd like to have a colored one. So I actually, this one's not complete yet, although it's close. Bear with me while I untangle the wires. So again, it's a small. Right now, the test unit was a small display, just because I didn't want to spend money on and hang in there for a second. I got to get my power supply. I didn't want to spend the money on a large display if this wasn't going to work, because my way of thinking was I should be able to scale up the display to a larger display if this works. So it did, but there's a whole bunch of complications that came with that. So this one's running on an ESP32, and it's going to give you an idea what the other stuff that I do is as well. I'm still a gamer at 71 years of age, so yes, I have a PS5 and I play games on that. So anyways, I got this one running and it's working quite well. Just graphics on there, and it scrolls through them or runs through them. So I want to make some farming ads and replace that big reader board that's down at the co-op, the Happy Farmer Co-op, and put a colored one in there with some proper advertising signs on that. So yeah, there's that. But the big one is, as I said, I'm working with a company right now locally that's got a project on the go, and I said I like to have spares of stuff, which is true. So my whole system, I said to Dave earlier, I don't know, Enfield, if you were on at the time, but my system is a DCC-EX system, and I had the original DCC-EX from 3 years ago, I guess it was, and worked quite well. Zero complaints, works well. But when new stuff comes out, it means new capabilities with hardware. So I ended up upgrading my old system to the newest version of the DCC-EX, which is called a CSB1. And instead of being an Arduino Mega board with a motor driver board attached to the top of that, and then a Wi-Fi board attached to that, so you had a stack of 3 boards, and it worked fine. Nothing wrong with it. It has now been replaced by the same guys that make DCC-EX. They ended up having manufactured a single board. Right? So this little board has everything on it. It has power coming in. Now I haven't fired this one up. It's got a barrel plug here for your power. I use a 12-volt power supply here at 5 amps. Now, there's no way N scale is going to draw 5 amps, but this is capable of providing 5 amp output on the output to the track. For HO, typically you're going to use 15 volt, and again, you could go 5 amps, you could go 10 amps if you really wanted to. It's got a little display on it. I'm going to fire this up in a minute and show you what it looks like. But this literally is an all-in-one board, and if things go the way they quote-unquote hopefully do, I theoretically, now as well, before I go any farther, I should say, where'd the bag go? They do ship with the board all the connectors that you need as well. You can order it with a power supply, but I mean, power supplies are dirt cheap. You get them on Amazon, everything comes from Amazon. But yeah, so what they do is they end up shipping with your module. They end up shipping the connectors for you. Not that that's overly exciting, but they're just the little screw-on terminals. They're here. And all they do is they plug into you've got 2-track two track outlets on here, a programming track and a main track. Now you can use the programming track as a main track as well, so you could run dual layouts with it if you really wanted to. So I'm just going to plug these guys in initially here. And I have a little piece of track that's got a feeder wire on it. So this is just Kato track. I use it for test purposes usually. And all you would do here is plug the wires into one of the connectors. And I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure the one I'm screwing it into is the main. Not that I'm not going to run a train on this anyway. But the purpose is just to show you how quickly you theoretically could be up and running with DCCEX. So right now, if this was the layout, very short layout that it is, but I'd wired into it with the DCCEX CSP1 board, and I have stay. Just wanting to fall on the floor now. I have because this is going to be for the project and it's not for my layout, but this is a 15 volt 6 amp power supply. Looks like a laptop power supply. Now I've labeled it just so I know what it is, but it's got a barrel jack on the end of it. That barrel jack will plug into our CSP1. So I'm going to tell you right now, that's it. We theoretically are ready to go. I just need to plug this guy in. So I'm going to duck underneath the table here and plug the power in. So bear with me. Oh. Thank goodness for a UPS down there. Lots of outlets. So, we now have power on our power supply, which I don't know if you can see the little light there or not. We do have a track attached to it, but for the sake of argument, so I don't have to worry about too long of wires dragging out here, I'm going to disconnect the track just to make life simpler for me. So right now you can see the display is lit up and it is telling us, since it's so small, DCCEX version 5.4.18, license is GPL version 3, power on track A and B, telling me how much RAM there is and what the Wi-Fi name is. This thing, by the way, is running in access point mode, so it's acting like your router at this stage, and the password's on there, and its IP is 192.168.4.1. So that's no secret. That just happens to be what it is. And I have a Android phone here. So the device name on this is DCCEX_DA2E44. So I'm just going to swipe down. We're going to get into my Wi-Fi settings. And if you look right there, there's the name. I'm going to get the camera in. Now there's a delay between what I'm seeing, what I'm showing you, and what I'm seeing. So bear with me on that. But it's right there. So all I got to do is click on that and type in the password. DCCEX. And they're all the same Wi-Fi names and passwords, so I'm not telling you anything secret here or that I shouldn't be saying. Underscore DA 2E full. I hope I typed that right. We're about to find out. Authenticating. Nope, I did it wrong. Figures. Trying to do this sideways, just not going to work like that. All right, let's try this again. So, D, C, C, underscore, D, A, So if I've done this right, authenticating. Yeah, so we are now hooked up via the phone to this little DCC-EX system. If I had Engine Driver, which is a free piece of software from DCC-EX on this phone, I'd be up and running with DCC-EX at this point. Like literally it would take, without my screw ups there, it would have taken me 10 minutes, maybe less, to be up and running with DCC-EX. That's it, that's the whole system. Now, for doing a show, for example, if you're doing a T-Track like this, or the upcoming project that I'm working on is going to be potentially have a show aspect to it. The nice thing is all I need is access to power. I don't need anybody else's Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is built into this, so the guys that I'm going to be involved with can all log in via their smartphones to this device, and we could run trains on the layout that we're going to be working on without any problems. And then at the end of the day, we pack it up. I mean, there's not a lot to pack up. We got this and the power supply and the modules and your phone, and that's it. I mean, it couldn't be any simpler. If you were ever wondering about, if you're not already into DCC, it's definitely the route to go. Digitrax is amazing, don't get me wrong, and our club runs Digitrax, but it's expensive. This board, I think in Canadian dollars, was $150 maybe. And but I mean, literally it's all self-contained. The entire thing is here. It's got Wi-Fi built into it, which is what that little, I'm going to disconnect this just to make life simpler, so I can get it up to the camera. But that's the Wi-Fi antenna there. It's got Wi-Fi, as I say, Wi-Fi built into it. The whole thing is based on an ESP32 microprocessor. You've got a display, the OLED display, which I've just taken off so I can get it up closer to the camera, and it just plugs in. Now there is an extension port on here, and I'm just pointing to it there, and I run an another OLED display. I'll get there eventually, because I keep this at the back of my layout, and I wanted to be able to monitor the screen. So I just put an extension cable on that little white jack there and ran it up to another display, and it just mirrors the information that's on the display on the DCC or the CSB1. But yeah, it's, you know, if you're ever looking at getting into, I promised to do this a long time ago, but if you were ever looking into getting into DCC-EX, this is the most cost-effective way that I can think of to get into it. And that's why I say, if you're looking at, Dave, if you're looking at trains, if you don't have DCC currently for locomotives, I would seriously go down that route, because once you've had DCC and being able to be wireless on running your trains and having sound, and you can get trains that are only DCC and don't have DCC and sound in them, or you can get sound only units. But again, why mess around with, you'll kick yourself. Seriously, you will. I mean, I'm in Canada. Everything's expensive here in Canada. It doesn't make any sense not to buy this stuff. And so you're thinking you're showing DCC command center. So basically, this is a command center. They call this the CS, or command center. It does replace a DC or a Digitrax system if you wanted to. Like I said, our club has got Digitrax. I had to buy a throttle so I could run at the club, as opposed to just about everybody's got a smartphone of some way, shape, or form, and you can download for free Engine Driver. And with this little board, literally that's replacing everything that a Digitrax system is capable of doing. There's automation you can do with this. You can control turnouts. You can control just about everything. If you go over to or do a Google search for DCC-EX and go to the website, It's all it's open source for the most part, and it's always evolving. It's getting better and better all the time with capabilities. And as I say, for a complete system, I mean, that literally, that card that you just saw is a complete system, short of adding a power supply. And I think you can buy a power brick with it if you wanted to. But yeah, I think you'll be impressed. There's a lot of stuff there. If you go down to, on the left side, if you go down to throttles, you'll see people's projects as far as building wireless throttles. And that's where you go? That's where this guy came from. This is a Y throttle, W-I throttle. And I thought I was impressed by it. And I thought, well, maybe I could build that. So I reached out to the guy that designed it and talked to him. And I had a couple of problems when I built it, and he taught me through stuff, and he ended up using me for some troubleshooting and debugging with it. So we were trying he was trying different things in the code. Because remember, I'm not a coder, I'm a hardware guy. I can build till the cows come home. That's not a problem. But I mean, literally, engine driver on a tablet or engine driver on a smartphone looks like that. And as I said, I can configure this for a single engine locomotive. Oops, get over so you can actually see. I think I went the right way. I'll find out here in a second. Nope, went the wrong way. Okay. So I've got it set up on this tablet for 2 locomotives. I could have it set up for 1. With the sliders there, and you can configure how the sliders appear. I could have 3 or 4 sliders on there if I really wanted to. And adding a locomotive is as simple as, I got to be able to see the screen here, but at the GP9, if I click on the top where it says GP9, it'll open up a different screen. I hope. Did I hit it? No, I didn't hit it. There we go. Got it that time. It's a problem working backwards here. So it opens up the list of things you can do, or you can release that. So if I release that locomotive, and that button is up here, the top right. If I hit release, and now you'll see on the main screen, when I go back, there's nothing on that left other than the sliders there, but there's nothing else highlighted. There's no locomotive. So to add a locomotive in engine driver, all we do is we hit, I'm going to try and do this, let's see if it works. Nope. Select. We play catch up here. And there's my list of locomotives that I've got. Now you don't have to have a roster in there. You could just type in the locomotive number if you wanted to. But to bring in the GP9 TT, bring it back, it was at the bottom of the list. I've just touched it once, and now you're going to see that it's going to appear on the left. There it is there. And all its functions are there. And you can program it for that if you want. But again, it's free software. So you pay for the board. You download the free piece of software, you plug the thing in, you log on to it with your smartphone or your tablet as an access point, and you're up and running. That's the extent of the whole thing. So, I mean, do some reading on it, Dave. I think you'll be impressed. I looked long and hard at Digitrax, and it's confusing because Digitrax is not the only DCC system out there. There's a number of different ones, and they're not compatible with each other. I'm not saying that DCC-EX is compatible with everybody else, but it is compatible with DCC locomotives. So the standard of the code is all there on how you communicate to the locomotives. It's just that how it talks to itself is not compatible with somebody else's system. But yeah, if you're looking for an affordable DCC system that's going to work, have a long hard look at DCC-EX and the latest version of the hardware, which is the CSB1, and I think you'll be mildly impressed. Anyway, I think that's it for today, guys. It was a short switching session. Sorry about that. I wish it had gone longer, but I don't control the switching sheet. So I hope you enjoyed the stream today. If you did, like, and you're already subscribed, but like it. And they always say it helps the YouTube algorithm. I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But I look forward to having you back again. I try and do a switching session Sundays at 1:30. Okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm here for you guys. Last question, I have 2 DCC ready. Yep. You still need to get encoders, exactly. Yes, you are correct. They will run on DC without a problem. But you do have to buy the decoders, and you'll have to make sure the programming in the decoder is for that locomotive, so the sounds are there and how it functions are there properly. Look at probably Loc Sound, LOC Sound is probably going to be your best bet. But yeah, and that's why I say it's better just to go up front and buy DCC equipped, and be careful. Now, the next thing I have to say to you, Dave, is it says DCC ready. Do you know if those locomotives have speakers built into them? Because these days a lot of them do ship with a speaker already installed. I just don't know how you tell. It might say in the instructions, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, good luck. I mean, yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Rusty Tracks Railroad. And if you have questions, drop me a line there, and I'll try and help you out as best I can. Okay, they don't. Yeah, so that adds a little bit of extra complexity to things, because you're going to have to get the right size speaker for the wherever it sits, usually in the fuel tank on the this one doesn't have it in the fuel tank. I'm trying to remember where. I think on my GMD1, I think the speaker is in my front grill or my back grill here. I think. I just don't remember for sure. You're gonna, as I said, you're gonna pay a premium for getting them already done, but you know what? From watching some of the guys do installations and the cursing and swearing they've done on stuff, it's just not worth the headache. And you know it's done right when you buy the stuff already. You know it's done right when you get it from the factory already installed, unless you can find somebody local that can install the stuff for you. But that's a long shot as well, a lot of times, trying to find somebody local. But welcome to the hobby, or welcome back to the hobby, as it were. Seriously, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I will try and help as best I can. That's what I'm here for. This hobby is amazing that way. Very helpful with everybody that's involved in it. So anyway, just reach out if there's something, a question you have or whatever, and I'll do my best to help you out. Any other questions? While I have a sip. Sorry, I'm just looking around here. Thank you, Gwen. Cool. All right, Dave. Well, all the best on your railroading journey. Enfield, thanks, Lee. Thanks for coming by. Great having you here. Keep posting those videos of yours. And yeah, interesting. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun indeed. So take care, guys. Stay safe out there, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, guys. Take care. Enjoy.